Good morning and welcome to Northern Lights Spiritual Center. My name is Reverend Vaughn Amaré and I am here with our founding minister, Reverend Pamela Grace Beatty, who is gracing us with her presence today. I'm also here with Reverend Mykal Amaré, who is leading today's talk and leading today's service. Northern Lights Spiritual Center is a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. Northern Lights Spiritual Center offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes where? In our lives. And are promised to reveal, inspire, uplift, celebrate, and magnify your greatness. We acknowledge our presence here on the traditional and unceded lands of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and Coastal Salish peoples. These people are still here, and we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of indigenous histories as we work towards honoring and inviting the truth. We also acknowledge that so much of what we know in this country today, including our culture, economic growth and development throughout history and across time, has been made possible by the labor of enslaved Africans and their ascendants who suffered the horror of the transatlantic trafficking of their people, chattel slavery, and Jim Crow. We also name the Asian and Chicano people who toiled with little recognition. We are indebted to their labor and their sacrifice, and we acknowledge the tremors of that violence throughout the generations and the resulting impact that can still be felt and witnessed today. And that is adapted from T.J. Stewart. Please join me for our opening song, In This Very Room, by Ron and Carol Harris. And we come to the point in the service where we are going to engage in a meditation. So to prepare for the meditation, just kind of situate yourself in your chair. And if you've got anything crossed, you might want to uncross it. It's just a suggestion, it's not a direction. And to just start noticing the support of the chair, the support of the floor under you. And just gradually become aware of your breath. So as you breathe in, just count to yourself how long you can hold it. And as you breathe out, again, give it a count. But let it go for 2 counts beyond what you breathed in. One of the things about breath is that as we breathe in, our heart starts to raise its beat. And as we breathe out, the rate of the beat decreases. So with every breath in and out, our heartbeat is increasing and decreasing. So with the focus on the breaths in and that increase in the heartbeat, and the breath out and the decrease in the heartbeat, consider each breath as blessing. That life itself is bestowing blessing. That every breath in, you are receiving a blessing. And allow yourself to imagine that every breath out, you are conveying blessing. So as your heart rate slows, you are slowing down the speed of this reckless planet we live on. What is it to be the recipient of blessing? As babies arrive on this planet, and the medical team or the birthing group call forth a cry, it may be easy for us to identify the ways that our body doesn't like the world we live in. We can always find cause for complaint. This area aches. We have this hunger. We have this discomfort. But we are more than this ache, this hunger. We are more than this moment. The body is also a vehicle for joy. A vehicle for bliss. So in this meditation, allow yourself to count the blessed moments of bliss. That you can appreciate. Is there a flavor that you enjoy? Is there an aroma? That you inhale? That brings particular pleasure? A texture you can imagine on your skin? A sound that comes to you? Perhaps it's the sound of the wind or raindrops. And if those annoy you, perhaps it's the sound of birds' wings. The voice of a pet. The voice of a beloved. We live in an infinite world, an infinite universe. So if your eyes were to behold something of beauty, what out of the infinity of the universe captures you, entrances you, enchants you? Let those images come to mind. Perhaps it's the vastness of stars in the sky. The face of a dear friend. A work of artistry. You are interchanging with those objects, because those objects may have beauty in and of themselves, but your appreciation, your presence to them up-levels that beauty. So that blessing comes to you in what you see, in what you hear, in what you touch, in what you taste, in what you smell. Our bodies are constant receptors of blessing. The breath in and the breath out. Blessings. These blessings are an ongoing part of our lives. Just allow for a space of gratitude, a space of thanks. and know that each one of us are centers of blessing. How each one of us have been the blessing for others. How each one of us are centers of blessing, incoming to us and going out from us. So again, just become aware of the breath coming in and going out. You might want to pay attention. If you want, you can notice the chair, notice the floor. And when you feel ready, come back to the room wherever you are. Allow your eyes to take on the room. And I say, and so it is. So thank you for joining me on that meditation. So we have a declaration here, and I'm going to say it once, and you're welcome to say it with me because it's all here for people to say it with me. But I will say it first if you want. But then I'm going to have you join me 2 more times. So we'll do it all together 3 times. We are an expanding and loving community, working in a field of infinite potential. We are an expanding and loving community, working in a field of infinite potential. And one final time. We are an expanding and loving community, working in a field of infinite potential. And so it is.
So it is.
And that infinite potential, that could be a blessing, right?
See?
Okay, now I have to get my phone to the right place. So today's reading focuses on blessing. So this is called the Prayer of Jabez, and it comes from 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 10. And one of the things that's striking about this particular chapter in 1 Chronicles is that everything before this and everything after this is simply a series of and begats and begats and begats and begats. But what's different about this? And Jabez called upon the divine of Israel, saying, "Oh, that thou wouldst bless me indeed, and enlarge my coast, and that thine hand might be with me, and that thou wouldst keepeth me from evil, that it may not grieve me." And the Holy of Holies granted what he requested. So Jabez asks the divine to bless. Jabez asks the divine to enlarge his territory or increase his responsibility. He prays that the divine will be with him and stay close. And Jabez asks that the Holy of Holies keeps him from harm, to be free from pain. Jabez understands what many people do not. There is only one life, and this life should be the center of our work that God wants to bless every day and every life. But we must make the choice to invite the Holy of Holies into our life and ask for the blessings. Jabez wants to succeed and increase his sphere of influence for the Holy of Holies. It isn't just for himself, it's for the divine to work through him. The specific sphere of influence is not important. What is important is that when we want to reach for goals and accomplishments, that we have the divine on our side. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit thy works unto the holy, and thy thoughts shall be established." It is critical to understand and practice this in close relationship with the divine. Further, it is equally important to stay close to the divine and rely on the continuing support and guidance. Jabez clearly knows and prays specifically to the one that can protect him from evil and pain, the divine. At the end of the verse, it's clear that the divine approved this faithful prayer by granting it. It's also important to see that Jabez was passionate in the plea to the divine. Jabez cried out to the Holy of Israel. The divine wants to hear about our need through passionate prayer. And so it is. Oh, I forgot. So I do a chant every month, and my hope is that people will sing along. And I do the chant in a repetitive fashion so that it's easier for people to sing along. So the first verse is, the first round through is referring to I and me and my. Second time through is you, yours, your, and yous. The third time is we, us, ours. And then we come back in the final fourth time. You know, there's a pattern. 4. We come back to I, to me, so that it isn't just me proclaiming it, but now that it's each one of us really feeling it centered in us. So this month's chant is, curious I seek under my surface, curious I look inside me, curious I show my purpose, curious arrives wonderful me. What are my gifts for giving? How to share them in this time and space? Why do I hold back from living? To whom do I dare show my grace? Where does life live in me? Where does life live in me? Curious, I seek under my surface. Curious, I look inside me. Curious, I show my purpose. Curious, arrives wonderful me. What are my gifts for giving? How to share them in this time and space? Why do I hold back from living? To whom do I dare show my grace? Where does life live in me? Where does life live in me? Now we switch it over to you. Curious, we seek under your surface. Curious, you look inside you. Curious, you show your purpose. Curious, arrives wonderful you. What are your gifts for giving? How to share them in this time and space? Why do you hold back from living? To whom do you dare show your grace? Where does life live in you? Where does life live in you? Now we, curious, we seek under our surface. Curious, we look inside us. Curious, we show our purpose. Curious, arrives wonderful us. What are our gifts for giving? How to share them in this time and space? Why do we hold back from living? To whom do we dare show our grace? Where does life live in us? Where does life live in us? Now back to I and me. Curious, I sink under my surface. Curious, I look inside me. Curious, I show my purpose. Curious, arrives wonderful me. What are my gifts for giving? How to share them in this time and space? Why do I hold back from living? To whom do I dare show my grace? Where does life live in me? Where does life live in me? So thank you for joining along. I can put it on pause, I've discovered today. Okay. We're back. I tried a little experiment today. And it worked, I think. Yeah, we're watching the video, and I noticed that when the lilacs came up, I took a big deep breath in and I could actually smell the lilacs. It was just, because I love lilacs. They're one of my favorite spring flowers. So, today we're here to bless this community and bless this space, leaving it better than we found it. Believe me, we're leaving it better than we found it. So, we have been here almost 8.5 years, and that's about 435 Sundays. So that seems like a lot, and it is. And it's a sad, for me anyway, that we have to find a new place. But I have to look at it as an opportunity to grow personally and as a community. And as many of you know, that we kind of stumbled on this space by accident. We came down to get a hamburger at Zippy's, which we've been told to do for, I don't know how many years. And there was a sign for rent, and so we just went on from there. And we came in and sanitized the place, you might say. And we made it a warm and welcoming space. A space, that anyone that walks in the door is welcome. One thing I've always wanted is in a center, or this center, or whatever center, is for it to be a safe place. A safe physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all around safe. So that you can come in, you can sit down, relax, and just be. Like Reverend Devon invited us to go into the meditation. When we do that, we attempt to release everything that came before this moment. Sometimes they rush back in, but then we just recognize them and say, "Oh, isn't that interesting?" But that time allows us to relax, to become centered. And that's what, to me, we're all about as a center. Becoming a center, becoming one family, one community, one people. And being a welcoming place, a welcoming and inclusive community is a community where the citizens and members feel safe, respected, and comforted in being themselves and expressing all the aspects of their identities.
I'm going to read that again. It's a community where its citizens and members feel safe, respected, comforted in being themselves and expressing all aspects of their identities. It is a place where each person shares a sense of belonging with its other members. It is home. This room, this space, has been our home, and we have had many things happen here. We've had Sunday services. I don't think we missed a Sunday. Either if we weren't exactly in this room, we were on Zoom. We've had Wednesday night meditations. We've had movie nights. We've had memorials. We've had dance classes, workshops, music concerts, a few rentals, and a few other celebrations like a college graduation. And probably some more things that, it didn't come to my mind because they don't always stick there. Most people who have entered this space have made the remark that this space felt so warm and welcoming. So I believe we've succeeded in one way. I'm grateful that this space has been seen as a welcoming and safe place to be. Now, if you say you've been blessed, you might feel lucky to have something. Health, love, fame, fortune, talent, and many other things that you can think of. Like I'm blessed to have this. And yes, I'd say I'm blessed to have this life. Even though there's been a bunch of potholes, but not more than Seattle has, I have to say that. And sometimes there's recurring potholes, just like in the roads here. It seems like a special favor, mercy or benefit, the blessings of liberty. It's a favor or a gift bestowed by the divine, thereby being happiness. So when we feel blessed, I have to say, when I feel blessed, then I feel that sense of joy, that sense of happiness. Because I am blessed. We are blessed. Ernest Holmes, in a treatment that I found online, this is one part of it, and I found it very moving. It says, I speak my word now as a conscious co-creator with the one spirit. I speak my word of health, of harmony, of abundance, of loving relationships in all my affairs. I know wherever I go and whatever I do, the loving presence and power of the one spirit is with me. My life is blessed now and always. Each of you are here today, either online, offline, here in the room, our blessing. You have blessed us, you have blessed this space with your presence. Your presence is very powerful because what you bring is love, is joy, is grace. You bring all the aspects of God that you are. When you enter in, you enter into I want to say a different world, a different space, and it is. You come here, you feed us, as hopefully we have fed you, and sometimes with actual food. But to be a blessing, I don't say it lightly. And it's hard for me to hold back my feelings, but I will try. But there is no try, there's just do. So. And so as we say goodbye to this place and move on to a higher place of being, so that we can grow, that we will grow, and succeed in a new place. Masters, teachers, sages, and saints from every spiritual tradition have used blessings as a way to consecrate, sanctify, and purify and heal. Wedding ceremonies, memorial ceremonies, christenings, and everything in between have at one time or another been blessed. Even when you sneeze, somebody says, bless you, you know. Anyone can offer a blessing. Ernest Holmes defined a blessing as a constructive thought directed toward anyone or any condition. He said, you bless a person when you recognize the divinity in them. You bless a person when you recognize the divinity in them. So as I see the God in you, I want to bless you. When things are good, you know, it's easy, a lot of times it's easy to bless and to seem, you know, it can seem easy to neglect the practice of blessing ourselves and others because things are going along, you know, just fine. Ralph Emerson wrote, never lose an opportunity of seeing anything that is beautiful, for beauty is God's handwriting, a wayside sacrament. Welcome it in every fair face, in every fair sky, in every fair flower, and thank God for it as a cup of blessing. We can always bless what's good in our lives. That's like, we can always, you know, love people that are good and this and that. But blessings can become even more meaningful if we remember to bless the bad times. The times of change. Things that aren't just so hunky-dory at the moment. When we most need to remember the truth. In the bad time, in these times, it's the time that we most need to remember the truth. That good is present then and there too. That there is good present even when things aren't going so good, and there's change in your life and you don't like it and you resist. I'm a big resistor. But I've noticed that most of the times I've resisted if I could see down the road, if I had that vision down the road, then I probably wouldn't resist. Because a lot of times when I resist and I move on through this, it turns out better. Sometimes, not always, but more times than not. It's just that idea that I have to resist. No, it's not my choice to do this. Somebody else is making that choice. And I think that's what, for me, is really the biggest thing. Is somebody else is telling me, you know, like if you have a job and you get transferred or whatever, and I had that happen, and I never did like the place I was transferred for. All those years I was there, never did like it. I met some good people, but it was just one of those things that it was a place that wasn't right for me. I am blessed and I'm a blessing. I am is the name of God. In the words of Mary Baker Eddy in introducing her seminal work, in the book Science and Health. She said, to those leaning on the sustaining infinite today, today is big with blessing. So when you lean into the divine, and you allow the divine to support you, and recognize that God has got your back. Sometimes that's hard for me to do, because stuff is happening all around, but the inside, subconsciously, if not consciously, I know that God has my back. For all the different things that have happened in this 71 plus years, I look back and it's crazy. The situations I was in, I should not have lived. I mean, there's many times I really should not still be standing on this planet. And here I am. Why? Because the divine has held me, cradled me in its loving arms. I had that experience in Egypt in meditation. That was the most profound experience I've ever had in my life. And I carry that with me. Sometimes I forget. But I get reminded occasionally by some people in my life that are looking out for me, and that have the support and the love and the caring. And so, as we lean into the divine, to allow our blessings to come forward, knowing that our blessings are here every day. No matter what the day ends up to be, there are blessings in that day. So I invite you to maybe, for a while, to stop and journal about, just write down, if a blessing pops up, write it down. Have a piece of paper, or you can write in your notes on your phone. And then at the end of the day, look back and see just how many blessings there were. Waking up is a blessing, believe me. Maybe I'll get rid of that raspiness. When we wake up every morning, no matter how achy and whatever, we are waking up. Our eyes are opening, our heart is beating, our lungs are breathing us. That is a blessing. Getting up, walking, all these things are blessings. The food that we have, the people in our lives, whether they're in there for a moment or for a lifetime, they are blessings, and you are blessings to them. So there's a few ways here that you can kind of look at trying to be a blessing. One is to pray for others. Praying is one of the most important things we can do for another person. They don't have to know it. Like I've shared before, this guy I worked with up in Everett is of another faith tradition, and he said he was praying for me to find the right path, And I said, oh, thank you, because prayer is prayer. I welcome prayer. And so we should pray for others and meet a need. Emma Curtis Hopkins says, if you see a job, it's yours to do. But sometimes when you see there's a need for something and you can do it, meet that need. Be an encouragement. Be a cheerleader for somebody. Sometimes it's just a single word. Sometimes in the grocery store, I found this to be true over the years that I've been with the other Mr. Amaré, because by his example, I have learned to do this, to greet to greet and engage the person behind the counter. And sometimes it's amazing that when you just say something nice, sometimes it just, you can see them just perk up, just their eyes kind of light up, and maybe they have really had a rough day. I don't think I'd want to deal with a lot of us customers because some of us aren't too nice. So if you can give somebody an encouraging word or support them in a project they're doing or a dream that they might have, to lift them up. Be thoughtful. Sometimes that's a tough one, because sometimes we open our mouth before the brain engages, and after we've said it, a lot of times you can't. There's no rewind, and there's no delete. So be thoughtful. Be thoughtful in your words and your actions and your deeds, everything you do. Be thoughtful for other human beings, for the little four-leggeds and the birds, and just be thoughtful for life. Because the idea of knowing people are thinking of me and of you, that's being thoughtful. Speak kind words. That kind of goes along with being thoughtful, but also be kind. Sometimes it's hard to be kind. There are some people that are in the world, I'll put it that way, that it's a challenge to be kind to. But I think that's a good test for us to, maybe just say something kind. I remember something Reverend Kathy Ann said one time, and I tried it out, in a situation where I was going to take an exit, and this person cut in front of me and really came close, and I said, "Oh, bless you." And the reaction I got after I said that was I started laughing, because that was not the normal. That is not the normal thing that usually would come out of my mouth when something like that happened. But by blessing that person on their way, what did it do to me? It released me from, anger and angst and resentment for that person, cutting me off. So we should just try to be kind and use kind words. And give your time, what you can. Service is I think a divine attribute. Service to the humanity in itself. Sometimes it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be a little thing, something little. We think, or I'll put I've always thought that to be successful in this world, that I have to do something great and in big grandeur, And that's not true. Yes, those things can happen, but however, little things mean a lot. Little things can change the world. Like I said, by just greeting the cashier, the checker, greeting someone on the sidewalk or in an elevator. Recognizing, because we all like to be recognized. And finally, bless someone who's on a tight budget. Sometimes it's hard to part with our money. It's always hard to part with our money. But sometimes there's people with a little more need than we are. And if we can give to them something, we have a lot in our lives. We collect all these things. I know we have a ton of stuff we've given away. What do? You get more stuff. You open up a closet so you can get more clothes. But what do you do with those clothes? You can give them away too. to give to somebody in need. And not just to make yourself feel better, but to help them. And blessing to me is about lifting up. Lifting up, supporting, praising, and raising life, which is humanity. Life, which is the trees, the birds, our pets, all the living creatures. You know someone is a blessing when you can look at them and know that, without a doubt, they will always support you. They are someone who wants what's the best for you, always. So, a person is a blessing when they have your back. Just like when God has your back, which is always. So the life work, I'm choosing to, it's really simple. One thing we've learned that from practitioner Stephanie. So if you choose, this is always your choice, not mine, but yours. This week, embrace your blessings, whether large or small. And go forth and bless your world as you've been blessed. Just, you don't have to say it out loud. You know, when you see somebody, you want to bless them. You know, when they feel like when they're yelling and screaming at somebody else. I know that never happens, but just in case you see somebody like that, instead of getting irritated, just silently bless them. You know, you don't know what's going on in their life. That's the thing I always have to remember when I start judging, criticizing, and getting angry. I don't know what's going on. I'm not walking in that person's shoes. I don't know what happened 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before, an hour before, whatever. I don't know what that person's been going through. So by just blessing them, you're stepping back from judging and criticizing. So, just embrace your blessings this week. And like I said, if you choose to, you can make a note of them, and then each night, just kind of look at them and say, whoa, there's a lot of blessings there today. Or, oh, not too many blessings today. But just, like I said, just waking up is a blessing. And I really appreciated that reading that Reverend Vaughn did about the prayer of Jabez. I fell in love with that prayer. And there is a book about the prayer of Jabez, and I can't remember what the exact title is. But it explains so much about that simple prayer. And for those that came in, I don't know if you ever heard it before, but I have it written down here. I did it just in case, because he told me he was going to use that for a reading, and it says, "Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm, so that I will be free from pain." And so now we will switch to a little affirmation here. A couple things here. Make sure I get everything here. Wait. I have to go way out. There you are. Okay. This affirmation, I'll say it through, and then if you want to read it through, we'll do it 3 times, like Rembrandt does, 3 times total. I am blessed with an abundant life, love, relationships, health, wealth, and opportunities. I am grateful. I am blessed with an abundant life, love, relationships, health, wealth, and opportunities. I am grateful. One more time. I am blessed with an abundant life, love, relationships, health, wealth, and opportunities. I am grateful. So it is.
And so it is.
And now I've written a little thing we could stand for this?
Yes.
I think we should stand for this. I invite you to stand
Stand as you are able.
as you are able, yes. This is a blessing I wrote for this space. It's short.
Do you want to move it forward?
I will. I don't want him to read it yet. Because I feel, for one thing, I have to do this, for me, to release any hard feelings, bitterness, sadness, because that's all there. That's all there. So I need to do this, and we need to do this. Okay. Where'd you go? Oh. Okay. We bless this space so that in moving forward, it is filled with peace, love, joy, and prosperity. Let's do that again. We bless this space so that in moving forward, it is filled with peace, love, joy, and prosperity. And for there, let's do one more time. 3 is always a good number. We bless this space so that in moving forward, it is filled with peace, love, joy, and prosperity. And so it is. You may be seated. You may be seated. So from now on, until we find a space, we'll be on Zoom Sunday mornings. Same time, same bat station. It's always, and if you lose it, it's always the same link to get in to us. You know, we don't change that. Some things do change, but that is not changing. And we're supposed to have an annual meeting, and I guess we're going to have it the third Sunday next month. I know. It's going to be by Zoom. It'll be a little interesting, but according to our bylaws, we're supposed to do it. And so those who want to join in, it'll be kind of part of the service, you know. That's a Reverend Pamela Sunday. So,
Yeah.
okay. So before leaving this, I am going to